So this weekend was Valentine's Day weekend, and the commercials on TV were talking about love, the chocolates, the flowers, all kinds of stuff. And this is a day we all celebrate, the people in our lives that we love and cherish. And for a lot of us women, we get a lot of flowers, we get, all kinds of stuff. But I wanted to just share with you about the things that I'm teaching my sons on how to treat women. And I do believe this is a topic that is not really talked about, like the role that the mothers have in teaching their own sons how to treat, the women in their lives, because I really think it starts at home. So if you're new here, my name is Janet, and welcome to the Second Act Collective. So talking about Valentine's, I had my sons, I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old son, and then my daughter who's about to be 17. And I had them, we went grocery shopping and we got some flowers for their sister, really, because I am trying to teach them how they are to treat the women in their lives. So this is one of the things, I am like, we need to go, and they use their own money because they do chores, they do little things around the neighborhood to make some money, not a lot, but some money that they can afford a $15 flower thing for their sister. And the reason I'm doing this is because I really want them to know that as men, because I do believe men have different roles as women. We are all equal before God, but we do play different roles. And in my own belief system and values, I believe, we have to train men to be men, train women to be women. And again, I know people have different opinions about things, but I want my sons to grow up knowing how they are to treat the women in their lives. So one of them is this, which I thought was very pretty, and she really liked it. When they gave it to her, it's just a show of love, to say to their sister, we acknowledge you, we love you, and we are celebrating you. And I think that's very important. So this is one of the things that I asked them, you're going to use your own money, not mommy's money, to go buy the gifts, for your sister. And even something else that I do is, I try to be maybe once or every other month. I tell them, I would like you to buy flowers for me and for your sister. And it's so funny because especially my my oldest son will be like, oh, I don't have the money. Or if I use $10 here, I'll be left with this much. And I won't have money for my video games and this and this. And I say to him, well, I know you want money for your stuff, but I also want you to learn to be generous, to learn to think of others, and to know that the money you make, you also need to spend it on others. I mean, when they make their money, I also make them tithe because we're Christians and we believe in tithing. So, those are things that I do. And then put some money in the bank for investment, no matter how little it is. I kind of help them divide that money so that there is money to give to the church, and money that they can use for gifts for people, money for their own stuff that they want to buy, and then money that they put to save. Right. So these are kind of the principles that I'm just trying to teach them. And something else that I see a lot of times is that, I understand there are people sometimes where there are a lot of single mothers, right, where maybe boys don't have someone that they can model certain behaviors on how to treat women because the family might not have a father in the home. So there's a lot of that. And this is why I think it's important that we as women are the ones, training our sons as well. And I know there's a big part that fathers play, that they have to model how to treat women because their sons to look up to it. But I also believe that we as mothers play a part, and we can help in that training. As the word of God says, you have to train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and do not depart from it. So part of our responsibilities, I believe, again, this is my opinion, is that we as mothers have to teach our sons how to treat women, right? How they speak to us, with respect, with honor, those are things that you have to teach your sons. Otherwise, they'll go out there and mistreat other women and mistreat girls if they're dating. So we are the ones who are responsible for teaching them um, how to treat women, to buy the gifts for the woman to because I believe love, just saying you love someone without actually showing a lot of times is not, it's like faith. If it doesn't have action, it's not really faith. And if love does not have action, it's not really love. So these are things that I'm really working hard to teach my teenage, one teenage boy and my my other young one on their roles that they play as men in life. And things like chores that they have to do, and not all chores get paid. Yeah, there's some chores that will pay them. Some chores are just stuff that they have to be doing because they live in a home and they're responsible, and they're growing up to be responsible men, so they need to be able to take care of their home. And also because they're not just gonna, go to college, start working, and get married and have someone, a woman, take care of them. You want them to be self-sufficient. So I have them do chores, dishes and their laundry and, cleaning, all the stuff that can make them self-sufficient without needing someone to be there. And this also, so they can grow up to be helpful to their wives or their girlfriends, as they are starting to date, they can be helpful and help their wives with the stuff around the house. So it's up to us as mothers to train them how they talk to us, how they treat us. And if we accept certain behaviors, which boys do that, I have two, and they can be rowdy sometimes. And of course, as they're getting older, they can be very challenging. They want to challenge you on things. But if we don't put our foot down and say, no, you're not going to talk to me this way, you're not going to treat me this way, this is the thing that you do, even paying for, because now, especially my 13-year-olds, I tell them, you have to save money to pay for birthday presents for people, for Christmas presents for people. And boy, is it, especially I remember last year when we were talking, when I told him, I'm no longer going to be paying for your gifts to give to other people. You actually have to raise the money yourself and give the people, and not always say, oh, mommy, can you buy this for me so I can give it to so and so. So it was a struggle with him, because it's like, well, I don't have enough money. And I'm like, well, because we had this discussion way before Christmas. And I said, you need to start saving the money you're making so that you can buy people presents. And I to me, it doesn't care. I don't care as much how much is. I'm like, you can spend, $10 on each person or $5 on each person, but it's going to be your own money, not mine. And because you're old enough to be making money, and not all the money is going to go for video gaming or whatever, fun thing you want for yourself. So it was interesting because he struggled when you started calculating how many family members he had to give. How many family members he had to buy things for. I could see the pain on his face, and I felt sorry. I was thinking, should I just buy that for him, or but I thought, well, what am I teaching him if I'm just always coming to the rescue, that when he doesn't have money for something. So I said to him, you're gonna have to figure out what to buy for people, and and that's your responsibility, not mine. So it was just funny watching him do the calculations. Like, I'll be left with like $5 after I'm done with everybody. And I said, well, that's okay. You can always work and make more money, but you do have to buy things for people. And if you don't buy, then they're not gonna get a Christmas gift from you. And so it was just interesting because it's like he's starting to realize now the value of money, and like how much, and then he was calculating tax, and this was the funniest. He was calculating tax, and where we are is about 7%, I think. So tax, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to, I have to pay this much tax. I said, yeah, you actually do. Because this is the real world we live in. You buy gifts for people, there's tax you have to pay. So it's just training them up in those things. And I just find it very amusing. I mean, it's not funny all the time because there's a lot of, they will want to fight you back on, no, we don't have the money, no. And I said, you just have to raise the money, work and get the money. But this is part of us as mothers training the sons that we have, teaching them how they talk to girls. You don't yell, you don't scream, you don't raise your voice, you don't hit your sister when just because you're angry. There's just certain things that you're not going to be allowed to do, especially to girls. There are certain things you shouldn't do to anyone anyway, but there are certain ways you have to treat the women in your life with gentleness and love and care and consideration, and ask them how their day was. Something that I also tell them is like, you have to open the door for me, the door for your sister. And there's a lot of like, why do I have to do that? Why? And I said, because you're a man, and that's what gentlemen do, because we're training them to be gentlemen, to be men who do the small things that might not look like a big deal, but they are. Someone opening the door for you, is it, whether you're getting into a building or you're getting into a car, it makes you realize, oh, this man is very, he's a gentleman. He's been trained, or he was taught. Because what I realize in talking to even other women, and just when I've done coaching, when I've talked to my friends, or just observing things, is that I think a lot, the reason why a lot of men are not, it's not like they just don't know how to treat women. Not that they are treating them badly, or hitting them, or not anything like that. But the small things that are not done, that I think women appreciate, is because a lot of times they were never taught. Their fathers didn't model that, and their mothers, nobody taught them when they were growing up. And I think this is the biggest mistake that I think as parents we do, that if we don't make the effort to actually teach our children certain things, like teach them etiquette, teach them how to greet people and say hi, teach them how to eat, to sit at the table properly and eat properly using etiquette and manners. If you don't teach them, then who's going to teach them? Right? They go to school to learn a lot of things academically, but they're not taught like life skills. They're not taught things that they need to maneuver the world, to function in the world. They are not taught all those things. And I think as moms and dads, it's our responsibility to teach our children. And I make my kids, we have, I try to have as many formal meals at a formal dining table as much as I can, because I want to help them learn how to hold the fork and knife, how to eat a 3, 4 course, 5 course meal, and what utensils they use. And so that if they go somewhere, which they will travel the world, they will be in different situations for work or for business, whatever, you want them to be able to know how to handle themselves. And it's really our job as parents to do that. And if we leave that to the schools, which, a lot of schools are not teaching life skills to our children, because a lot of schools don't have the budgets. And I feel bad for the teachers as well, because there's so much to be done and they don't get the support that they need, because there's just not enough money for them to do the things. So then a lot of the things are left to us as parents, that it's our responsibility to teach our sons, it's our responsibility to teach our daughters on things that they should be doing. And I also wanted to point out that, like, you could be married to someone, because it's not just single mothers who have boys that they have to help grow up to be good men. A lot of people are married and their husbands, because they were not taught by their parents how to treat women. They were not taught the small things. They might buy the birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, but a lot of the small daily things that a man is supposed to do to make their wife or girlfriend feel cherished and precious and loved, they're not taught those things. So you could be married to a husband, not really by any of it. It's not like his fault or anything, but you could be married and your husband doesn't know those things because he also wasn't taught by anyone. Then it's up to us as women to educate ourselves on how do we even help our husbands train up our sons? How do we as mothers train up our sons so that they can be first and foremost, good citizens in this world, which is needed. And also so that, they can treat the women in their lives in a good way. Because I think when men treat women in a very good way, the more likely the marriage will be stable, the more likely their kids also grow up to be good people. But it all starts with us, modeling our behaviors and teaching them, like sitting down. Some things they have to actually just be taught, and being consistent. Because I think that's another thing that is difficult a lot of times when you're raising children, is you can implement a certain thing and follow and do it, certain times, and then it can get exhausting because they can be fighting you that they don't want to learn this thing. They don't want to learn how to sit properly at the table. They don't want to learn how to hold a fork and knife. All the stuff that, the resistance that comes with you when you're training up your kid for something is kind of amazing. Even personal hygiene. It's like, why are teenagers so difficult to like brush your teeth, use deodorant, shower, and all that stuff? Make your bed, because in my home, one of the things that my boys and even my daughter know is that nobody leaves the house without making their bed. Because one of my philosophies that you have to treat people in your family better than you treat anybody else out there, because these are the people that live with you day to day. You have to show love, respect, honor, even more than you do your teachers and everybody else. I mean, I want you to be respectful when you're out there. I want you to show love and everything. But you really, it starts at home. It's not, there's no, I don't know. Sometimes people, do things for keeping up appearance. And we want to look like we're good people when out there. And then at home, we're terrorizing our own family. And I don't think that's right. And I don't think God does not even like that either. So we have to learn treating our family good before we go out there and pretend to be something that we are not. We have to also treat the environment that we are living in. Like my boys have to, make sure you put the toilet seat down. Make sure you make your bed before you leave the house, because you're not going to leave the place that you sleep and live. It has to be treated with honor. We clean our house and take care of it because we honor ourselves. And I think how you actually live in your house shows a lot about you, whether you actually have self-respect for yourself or you don't. Because a lot of times people want to get out of the house, look with makeup, made up, and looking whatever, very nice, and acting like they have it all together. And you walk into their house and it's like, oh my gosh, did a hurricane pass through here? And I don't think that's right. That to me shows you have no self-respect for yourself. And these are things that we have to teach our children, boys and girls. Because if you don't, who is going to teach them that they need to make their beds? And I think there's some study that people make their beds actually before, in the mornings. It does something to your brain. It's a good thing. It makes you more productive and all kinds of other good things. But those are things that we have to train, and we have to insist. Because if you just say the first resistant, if they say, no, I don't want to do it. Why do I have to do it? Which is the famous question. Why do I have to do it? And if we just buckle down and like, yeah, well, I'm not going to force it. You hear a lot of parents say, well, I choose my battles. And it's like, yeah, you're choosing to not fight in a lot of the battles that actually matter a long time. So which battle are you fighting really? Because if everything is I'm choosing my battles and this one I'm not going to participate. So which one are you actually going to participate in? I don't know. That's kind of just, again, this is me talking about my own beliefs. But I think there's certain things that have to be taught. Like, yeah, you need to shower every day. You need to make your bed every day. You need to brush your teeth at least twice a day. Dress properly for going to different places. Those are things that we mothers are responsible for teaching our girls, our sons. We are responsible for them to dress properly according to where they're going. And I'm a stickler for that. Like if you're going to church, you're going to go dress nicely for God. If you're going to a party and you're dressing well, why don't you dress nice for God when you go to church? In a modest way and a way that is respectful. So these are the things that you teach your children, your sons, so that they can grow up to be good people and to make the society, a good place for everybody. So I just wanted to share this with you because I was just thinking of this about Valentine and having my sons. And I think now they're getting used to this idea now that, there is an expectation that they are to buy things for their mom and their sister. And even if it's a small thing, I mean, this is not, it's like was like $15 because that's what they could afford, and as they get older, they'll buy more expensive flowers. But it's really the gesture that matters, right? It's more of you, it's not how much it is, it's the fact that you thought of the person, because my daughter, she's, 16, she's not dating anyone. So, it's a nice gesture, like we're thinking of you, we love you, to just do that, for them to do that for her. And like I said, she was very happy. So that's kind of what I wanted to share about what we are teaching our sons. If you have sons out there, share with me in the comments, what are you teaching your sons? And maybe another day we'll have a discussion about what we're teaching our daughters. But it's very important to me that my sons learn how to treat women. I guess because I've just seen, having come from a different culture into the Western culture that I'm in now, I've just seen, I don't know, across societies, how women are treated. And a lot of times it's not good. And a lot of times there's, selfishness. And I'm not talking about, people who are abusing women, hitting them and doing all kinds of, I'm just talking about the small things that are happening to like the normal people living their day to day, that there's not a lot of concern or care that is shown. And a lot of it is just shown on your birthday or, on Christmas. And I think it's up to us as mothers to help our sons make that more of a daily thing or monthly thing, whatever, to show their love for the women in their lives. That's what I had to share about this. I hope this was helpful. And if you do have sons, please go ahead and comment. Share in the comments what you are doing to help your sons, treat women better. And let's talk about it. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.